President Obama is running for president. He runs partly on the notion that all of that went too far, and that he's going to change that. He does issue that order as soon as he becomes president. But he also, and Attorney General Holder, then begin to discuss going back and looking back at some of these questions. Your view on much of that was that certainly the part that the specific inquiry into CIA, the conduct of CIA officers, that was problematic. But why exactly?
Sure. So I'll try to be very efficient because that's a big question and an important one. When President Obama called me in early January of 2009, President-elect Obama called me and gave me that Marlon Brando speech from On the Waterfront, and Ain't Your Night Kid, all right? That he's going to make changes. He's going to bring in Leon Panetta. He's very complimentary, thanked me for my work. And then he said quite clearly, Doug, in general, there are a lot of people who want me to look backward. Now, I don't want to do that. And frankly, with your going, it makes it easier for me to hold my ground and just say we're going forward. And I said, God bless you, Mr. President-elect. That's the right decision, and I'm happy to move on to facilitate that. And I do put this on Attorney General Holder, far more than the White House. Attorney General Holder then resurrects investigations of CIA officers that were conducted by career DOJ prosecutors in Northern Virginia who had declined prosecution, reopens the investigations without reading the declinations that his department had created several years before. So CIA officers who went through this life-changing cycle of going before grand juries get thrown back into this cycle again and go before grand juries. On just an ethical basis, I think it was very unfair to the officers. More importantly, perhaps, on an operational basis. Let me tell you how this works, Doug. CIA covert actions are always on the edge. They always take place in a gray area, gray ethically, gray legally, gray operationally. They're always out there on the outer edges of executive prerogative. So when I go to a CIA officer and say, we're going to go do something, he gets to ask me 3 or 4 questions. Number one, to me, boss, is this a good idea or not? No, I think it's good. Is the president authorizing it? Yeah, he is. What's the Attorney General say? He says we're cool. Congress, did you tell the gang 8? At least the congressional. We told Congress. At that point, that officer thinks he has a social contract with the American nation, not with the current administration. And that social contract was broken when the follow-on administration then turned back onto the covert actions of its predecessors and held these people at great legal risk. That is entirely destructive of what it is you've got an agency for. Now, there may be people here, I know there are people in America who aren't very enthused about what CIA is sometimes called upon to do. But every president since the beginning of the agency has called on the agency to do covert action. So as this is happening, Leon Panetta, my successor, does exactly the right thing. He goes down to the Counterterrorism Center. This is where these people live, and holds a town meeting. One participant said it was like a pep rally in the Führer bunker. All right, it was a very dark time, and Leon says all the right things to kind of buck up their spirit. And finally, one officer says, "Mr. Director, I got one question. Can you tell me that this is not going to happen to me in 4 years for doing the things I am now doing on behalf of this president?" And Leon answered quite correctly, because of the new precedent. I can't guarantee that, but this will not happen to you under this president, which is a really big deal.